Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bigger Than Race, exposure to all things truth, whether you like it or not, with unique perspectives from different beings from all walks of life. This is Bigger Than Race. Investigate truth on your own terms. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Bigger Than Race. This is your host, Brando, aka Crypto Poppy. And I wanted to open up this show just talking to the new subscribers and also the individuals who may not know. This channel is not a channel for just all things cryptocurrency and financial gain. This is also about speaking the truth. And on this episode, I wanted to bring the truth and actually talk about dark forces and spiritual attacks with evil intentions. Now, I have a good friend of mine on the show who is going to share his experiences in regards to his experiences with these dark forces that are looming the universe. So I have brother Abdul on the show. Talk to the
Hey,
people.
how you doing? First of all, thank you for having me on your show, Brother Brando. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you for reaching out to me.
No, man, absolutely. I think we had some nice conversations, and I thought it would make for a good podcast episode.
Likewise. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you.
So,
Yeah, man.
so basically, how you been? How's life? How's the family?
Life is good. Family's good. I'm taking it one day at a time. It's just if I go too fast or if I slow down, then things won't pan out the way I would prefer them to be. And there's a greater force at play here, like you said, and you can't go against that force. And if you try, it's going to backfire. So, like like I said, I'm just taking it one day at a time, man. How are you?
I'm blessed. I can't complain, and even if I did, nobody would really care anyways. So I try to live day by day and try to stay in the moment.
That's right. That's right.
Harder said, it's harder, to do than it's said, but we uh we try to strive each day.
I couldn't agree more.
But
That
let's talk. Let's. I'm sorry about that.
that's okay.
Yeah, but let's talk about these dark forces that and these spiritual attacks that we've experienced out here with these evil intentions that they so cleverly like to throw towards innocent light beings, light workers.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you've had a taste of it in your life, and I'm sure people who are listening in will also relate to it after, I get done sharing my part, but the main thing is that this has been around for a long time, way even before we were born, and it's this dark energy has been, plotting against mankind, like I said, for a long time, and we're just like part of the plan. And like you said, the beings of light, as you call them, or as I call them, people with good intentions and good hearts, and so, um, of righteous souls, for lack of a better word. How about that?
I like that.
Yeah, and righteous souls in this world, when they come into this world, or I should say in this realm, because, I believe in the afterlife, life after death. But in the time, or in the life that we are in now, yeah, there are two types of, souls. There's good souls, and then there's bad souls. Just depends on how you're brought into this realm. It all depends. But yeah, this what I want to know is like, how did you encounter, or from what I want to know is what how did you come about to knowing about this dark force or whatever you want to label it? That's what I kind of want to get at to see kind of get an idea of how you experienced it on your end first.
Yeah, well,
If,
absolutely. I experienced it. I want to say, throughout my life, but sometimes it's these dark forces are, uh, I want to say, like shielded and hidden in certain areas within our life, and we don't
right,
know that we're actually being attacked by these dark forces. You know,
right, right.
but when I look back in hindsight, I realized in specific moments I was dealing with those entities. But I knew when I knew it really was real was what confirmed it is because I actually seen it with my own eyes. It was
Wow.
when I seen that demon in that big Hollywood producer's human flesh. The demon showed itself,
Right.
and from that moment on, like it was confirmed. I knew it was always a dark verse light. The funny thing is too, this movie Chucky. Remember Chucky,
Yeah,
Child's Play?
the little doll. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I had an experience when I was younger. Like I don't know why we used to watch this movie. My mom used to watch these movies, but
The
I don't.
scary movies.
Yeah, bro. Like,
Yeah.
so I was watching it one time, and then I had a nightmare, and then I woke up, and I seen the little demon swinging on the fan, bro. And so, like, I got up and ran to my sister's room, and I laid down, and I just didn't feel right, so I ran to my mom's room, and I laid on the side of her bed. She had a water bed at the time, and on the water bed,
Nice.
yeah, how they were made was it had like you couldn't see under the bed. Of course, it was wood paneled on the side, like underneath it, like
Uh-huh.
on the floor piece. And
Yeah.
I laid on the side of the bed, and I turned to the towards the bed, and I seen the little Chucky doll with glowing red eyes, and I wasn't asleep, bro. I was wide awake,
Mm.
and I think there's something demonic that happens when he's saying those little prayers in that film.
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
we don't know what he's really doing, but there's some kind of ritual, magic, evil shit going on with that. That's not a
You mean like
movie.
spells? You mean like spells, right?
Spells, exactly. Yeah, that's not a movie for kids to be watching. I don't think it's right for anybody to be watching because you're opening yourself to those forces.
I agree. I agree, brother. Yeah, that sounds very traumatizing as a child watching something like that, and then just being surrounded by that energy is itself is like very, like you said, it's uncomfortable. You don't feel like yourself, and you feel like you're being followed, or something is like behind you, or wherever, in the shadows, and the conscious mind. It's a beautiful thing that, um, I'm gonna say, like, I personally believe in a higher power, and that works for the greater good. But there's also this other power, like you said, that's out there to destroy, righteous souls, or come after righteous souls, because that's what it feeds off of, and I guess it's kind of like its energy source for to feed off of it. I guess, to refuel itself. So yeah, I can totally understand that kind of experience leaves a mark, or sort of a scar, a mental scar, forever, implanted in your mind, and it's never going to go away. And then, like us, people that have these kind of experiences, it's yourself that it can be true, but when you try to explain it to other people, they just, sometimes people just think of you as crazy,
Oh yeah,
label
yeah,
you, label you.
absolutely.
That's and I kind of want to bring some shed some light because you said that, like, labeling people, and when people go through a tough time during their childhood, it can, like I said, it leaves a mental scar, and that scar just, like, I guess over time it just accumulates more. There's more added to it because this evil force knows that you've been exposed to it. And what I wanted to bring up is Kanye West, um, specifically. Now, I'm not sure if you've been. I don't keep up with celebrities as much, but lately on my Instagram feed, all I'm seeing is something about Kanye, 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 constantly.
Right.
And right, it's not just me, right? Like
No,
I'm,
no,
I'm
no. They're definitely hyping it up. I mean, we see what they want us to see.
right. And what caught my attention was that he started crying in the middle of his, I guess, his what is it called, the candidacy, or what, he's trying to run for president, or
Right,
whatever you
right.
want to call it. And he started crying in tears. Now, me personally, I've been a fan of Kanye since he came out, when he first started into the music industry, and I've seen him grow as a person. And it's kind of like, everybody has their ups and downs in life, but Kanye West specifically, since he's got, his name in the game, like he's branded basically, like he's got a lot of money, he's got a lot of pull. Um, and on top of that, he's in Hollywood. He's always around Hollywood. Uh, like just recently, that what caught my attention is that he just started bursting in tears, and you could tell that there was some kind of real emotions behind that. Um,
Absolutely.
and I think what he's trying to do is he's trying so very hard to get the truth out, like we are. But he's having a hard time because there are other forces, like you said, at play here, that want to diminish that, righteous soul, to speak out, to
Yeah.
reach the message out, to relay the message out to the world. And his platform, I mean, God bless him, but like he's accomplished so much over his career that now he's in a place where he's able to do that, but he can't even do that because there's, like I said, there's are evil forces that do not want this message to be relayed out to the world. So basically, what I'm trying to say is when he was crying, he mentioned something about his mom, right? He
Yep.
said, "My mom tried to save me." And going back to the history of his mom and his dad, he kind of explained it in that speech he was saying. He said his father was never there, and he wanted to get him aborted, or whatever have you. Now, I don't know the actual details, but what the gist of it all is that his mom was basically sounds like an angel that saved him his life, right?
Uh huh.
And she knew that he's a righteous soul and he was going to do some good in this world, which he did. He brought lots. He's an icon to many people around the world, not just in America. And the mom saw this in him. She saw the righteous soul. But now that he was involved, he's got older, and now he's married to this, superstar, Hollywood superstar, which, by the way, I mean, they're very peculiar. Like this Kardashian group, this whole, I don't keep up with them. I mean, I don't really have time to, but from what I've gathered is that they are nothing but trouble
They're
anywhere they go,
they're
right?
very
It's
witchy.
yes, to a certain extent, yes. I couldn't agree more with you, brother Brando. That,
But
like,
we're talking about in another behind the scenes type of stuff. Well, I mean, why do you think there's always a situation with every black entertainer they're with, or I call it
right,
melanated? And I really believe that Kanye West, there's two of them. There's He has a clone, because if you look at it, the Kanye West that went to go in Trump's office and the Kanye West I just seen on that stage crying, they don't seem like the Kanye West that I know is the real Kanye West. You understand
Mm.
what I'm saying?
That's very interesting that you said that. I can understand why you would say that because yeah, he does sound like sometimes he sounds like a normal Kanye West, and then another time he just sounds like he's ranting off some nonsense. And
And he
yes,
is
you
calling out.
yeah, he you know what it is, right? Like I think it's well, I don't think, I believe the light inside his soul is feeling trapped and it needs to get out. Like you know how sometimes when you're with somebody and they like just automatically have a Freudian slip,
Right.
like that kind of energy means that there is something that is good inside you that wants to reach out to the outside world from within you. You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally understand.
And when that happens, like it comes out in like various ways. It could be like uncomfortable to a certain degree, and it can also be very understanding. But it just depends on how the person relays it out to the world or to the outside world. Um, but yeah, he basically was crying out for help, and what from what I've gathered, basically like from what people have been posting, and I kind of did my own little research about what's really going on because I don't trust anybody on the internet. I mean, not just I'm not saying that
You
just
and me both. You and me both.
yeah, it's just how it is. So I dug a little bit and come to find out that he is fighting for his children. Apparently, the wife wants them to become Playboy models or something, but it all relates to the children being abducted or some sort of abduction in Hollywood. I mean, children in Hollywood, that those two go hand in hand in 2020. I think we can all agree on that.
Absolutely. You know what's so funny? And just to add to what you're saying, and not to cut you off, but
No, brother, go ahead. Go ahead.
they these first of all they sign oaths, and Kanye cannot say certain things without alerting the boys that
Consent,
it's
right,
that it's time to go because he violated the oath. So he's trying to speak out in so many different ways. But and then on top of that, these oaths that they sign for this massive wealth and this become a billionaire, and you're married to one of the most influential women in the world, and
right,
with that comes other stuff that are attached with it that you don't see, that you're not aware of, that how deep it's going to play out, which is the dark side. And you
right,
know they offer up these children. So this is the game that they choose to play.
right.
And
They
it
know
may
what
seem
they
far
signed up for,
fetched,
yeah.
but the truth is right. And the best place to hide the truth, the best illusion, is right in front of your face.
Yep, yep. I agree. I totally agree on that. Yeah. They
So
base Go ahead.
yeah, no, I just wanted to know, like, where did your journey start from the experience of these dark entities?
Uh, okay, so I mean, I'm not gonna give out too much information because that I could talk about all day. But I'm from the other side of the world. I was born and raised. Let's just say in towards the Middle East. I'm not gonna give the exact location. But yeah, I'm South Asia is the continent I'm from, and from I mean, people from that area generally are. Uh, there's lots of groups of people. We've got religious people, we've got spiritual people, and then we've got people who practice different arts. And one of those arts is dark magic, which apparently that region of the world loves to practice. And it's been
Well,
going.
when we say dark magic, how dark are we talking?
We're talking like uh, not nothing close. I mean, it's surpassed like witches and wizards at this point. It's come down to like
So
worshiping.
this ain't no Harry Potter type stuff.
No, no, this is way beyond Harry Potter. This is like Satan's army, for a lack of a better word. Like this is something that they've been doing for a long time, and it's been planned. But you know, from like I said, from that part of the world, I grew up there. But um, the way that I was exposed to it is that when I was younger, I my parents, well, my father was he was always traveling, so I would be with my mother and my grandma most of the time, and my mom was a housewife, so she didn't have a job, but she would keep herself busy, um, doing like housework and other things to keep her occupied and to keep her mind off and off of other things and going on in her life. But my grandma basically was the one who was taking care of me when I was growing up. So when I would be hanging out with my grandmother, my grandmother would have like Freudian slips, and she would say like, "Please just be careful, pray. I feel like there's some kind of dark energy around us, and I want you to just pray to God and ask Him to protect you always." And then me, I'm little thinking like, okay, this sounds really crazy. Why can't I see these things or whatever she's talking about? Um, but one of those, a couple times there, like when we would go to sleep, I like it's funny that you mentioned the story about you when you were young and you would, be sleeping. Is like there's like this fear of something watching you when you're younger, and I think it happens to a lot of children during their young years. But to me, when I heard this from my grandmother, I just kind of like pushed it aside. I was like, okay, I got my own thing going on. I'm not worried about nothing. My grandma's here and all that. But basically, I would be sleeping next. I used to sleep next to my grandma because that's I just love my grandma a lot. So some nights I would sleep with her, and a couple nights like I would just feel like my body and my soul are disconnected for some reason. Like I would be sleeping, but then I would wake up, but I would feel like my body is below me. You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
And
yeah, I understand.
yeah, and I'm like, and I look, but I'm seeing some like I know that I'm asleep, but at the same time, I know that I'm not on the floor sleeping, if that makes sense.
Yep,
Yeah, so
out of body experience.
yeah, I think that's what it, yeah, that's the term, right? That's out
Yep.
of body. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I was having when I was younger. And at the time, I didn't really, obviously I was a kid. Heck, I don't know what an out of body experience. So I just thought it was like I was dreaming. Uh, but like, a couple years down the road, this continued for some time. And a couple times down the road, like when I would be trying to sleep, I would feel like something is watching me, and I didn't know what it was because and like we would.
I got raped by a ghost.
Okay. Oh, was that right?
Okay, so yeah,
Oh,
you know, have you ever heard of these incidences where like people are being
pos-
raped or somebody's having sex with them that they cannot see?
like yeah, you're being possessed. Yeah, you're not in control, and sometimes from what I've experienced is like you can't really even move, and you have cold sweats while this is going down.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, you can't move, but I wouldn't say I was sweating. I was just, I mean, like the person was like whispering in my ear, and like I mean, like humping me and all that. I'm like, what the hell going on? I'm
Right.
being raped by a ghost.
Yeah, man. It's very unpleasant. It's I think yeah, so you know what I'm talking about. And I think when I was like I said, when I was younger, it was very awkward. I didn't really recognize it or put the two and two together of what actually is going down. But um come to find out, like my mom's, my dad actually, his side of the family, which I didn't know up until like later on in life, that his extended family was like some part of a group of special people that are like apparently healers or psychics. Um, and these people travel a lot around the world, and they're famous for telling people's fortunes, yada yada yada. But when I was younger and I heard this, I didn't, like I said, I didn't put the two and two together. I was just like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, they're famous people. They can tell people's futures and all that. But what I didn't know was that they practiced black magic, literally. And it was going on for the longest time. And when I was born, I think they had an idea of who I was gonna be, or they knew that I had the light inside my
Calling.
soul.
You had a calling.
Yeah,
There was you were chosen. You were destined for greatness, and
I
they tried to hinder that.
from the get-go, man, and I'll never forget this. But my mom is like the oldest of six children, so she's got like younger brothers and sisters. So her second youngest sister had a baby or like right around the time I was born, and I'll never forget it. I was maybe like 2 or 3 years old, but I believe I'm trying to say like, so when I was born, they knew that I was like this light. These evil people knew that I was a righteous soul, and so they started to mess with me from the get-go. Now, when my mom's sister got married, she also had a child, but the child, as soon as he was born, after maybe 2 days, he or she passed away. God save his or her soul. The child passed away. The baby passed away. And what I remember very vividly is that I was passing by the room where the baby was, and I looked to the baby, and I saw the baby just crying out for help, and it had like these tubes going into his nose, like extracting out some, I don't know, liquids from the nose. But like there was no nurses in the room, no doctors, and the door was open, and you could hear the baby down the hall screaming for help. So
Wow.
and yeah, man, I'll never forget it. It was so vivid. I was like, why is this baby crying and why is nobody like adhering to this baby or going after? So what my thought process is that and when they announced that the baby was dead, they just I'm damn sure they made up some lie about having the baby dying from some kind of disorder or some kind of health related issue. But
Oh, of course, of
my
course. You know that they
my
love doing that.
take, yeah, you see where I'm going, where I'm getting at, right? My take is that these people knew that this was another righteous baby, and they're like, "Oh, we already got one. We got to take care of. Let's not get two on the table. Get rid of this one." So, I think that's what happened.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, the funny thing is, and not to sound or toot my own horn, but it's like I feel like I know that I'm a righteous being,
Yes,
and I knew I think when I came the way that I came in this world also, kind of set that impression in stone because I was a miracle child. My mom couldn't have kids, and there was a struggle. You know what I'm saying? And long behold, I was the fighter. Who's to say I wasn't planted there? You know,
right.
from another source.
I totally agree, man. This the miracle child is on the you hit it right on the nail, brother. That's like when souls like that are born into this world, like I said, the pre-existing evil that's existing in this world is aware of it right away, and they'll do whatever it takes to get rid of you, like whatever it takes. Rather it be like, childhood trauma, rape, whatever you want to call it, pedophilia, sex at a young age. That's kind of like it's like their pitch to kind of like kickstart how to get rid of somebody that has been a miracle child or been brought as a miracle into this realm. Um, yeah, that sounds like that's very on the point. But uh, going back to my stories that when I saw this baby crying and then after a few days it died, like, and if you see a baby crying, you're gonna want to go take care of it, right? But like
Right.
nobody was doing anything with this baby. This baby was just crying. It had two tubes, like long, really long tubes going into its nose, and it was just extracting out some, I guess it was liquids or whatever, but the baby was crying out for help, and I'm pretty sure like that baby was a miracle child also. But anyways, besides the point, like I grew up, around that kind of energy, and but the higher power knows who the righteous ones are, and these evil people can plan all they want about us and have an agenda for us, and but the higher power is the best of all planners. That's just how I see it. You
Good
can.
always wins in the end.
Yeah, that's right, brother. So
And they can't stop it. They can't stop the paths and the destinies that have already been set in stone. They
and
try to alter them. They try to do magic towards them. They try to send people to, you know, knock you off your track. They will do all kind of slick stuff when they know you already chosen one. They'll even threaten your ability to even make a living in in an industry where you should be making money. And they'll make it seem like it's just you.
yeah,
Like they're doing all this stuff behind the scenes to make it appear a certain way. They say with the media, you control the media, you can make a guilty man innocent and an innocent man guilty.
yes, and I'm attesting to that also because their tactic, from what I've gathered over the years, like when it really hit me when I put all of it together after a long time, is that they try to kill you with kindness and put on this alter ego in front of the eyes of the public to kind of make it seem like you said, they're righteous, or they're a good person, and they're also kind, and they give back to the community, and they're all this yada yada. That's just all for show.
That's why I'm worried about Will Smith. There's
I am
you
too.
can't be that damn happy and nothing be wrong with you. I know he's behind the scenes crying. He's got to be going through something
Oh,
because
but for sure. I mean, I don't, I'm not, for one, I think what Jada did, that's my personal opinion, is that what Jada did, I think, was really wrong. And bringing him to the table and putting it out there in public, it was like drawing the line right there. Like, you don't put your business out in public, first of all, that's going on between you and your husband only. You don't do that. But I guess, since they're already in the industry, they gotta let everybody know, because eventually everybody will find out, right? Or something along those
well,
lines.
here's my take on it. And I don't really like to gossip,
Yeah.
but
Hey.
the true truth is everybody in the industry already knew. It's been years of talks about Will and Jada having an open marriage. And the truth is, Will knew that she was having a relationship with August because they were seen together. I've seen them together numerous occasions. Okay, it's no
Hmm.
secret that they don't have open relationship. So the problem was that they didn't know August was going to unleash it at the time that he did during that interview. So, in order for them to maintain their illusion of perfectness in the world's eyes, they had to come to the table and call that.
Hmm.
That red top tables talk. They use this also to get their messages out there. So
Right.
they use it to also use it as a platform to speak and to spin a narrative to their audience. I mean, so Will and Jada planned that. That was orchestrated because if they didn't do that, they couldn't shut the rumors down. It's better to say, "Oh, okay, she cheated,"
To clear the air. Okay, I see what
right,
you're
as
saying.
opposed to owning up to them having a full blown out open relationship. You follow me? That will be
Yeah.
two different stories.
Yeah, yeah, the rumor thing I can understand. I can definitely understand because, especially in Hollywood and in the entertainment business, like that's what people thrive off of is rumors mainly. But yeah, I can see from where they wanted to clear the air and let everybody know like this is what's happening. But it didn't really have to come to that if they had just been honest with each other and just kind of sorted it out privately. I mean, that's just my take, but yeah, I can agree because they were both out in public and
But no, I
everybody knows.
don't. I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying. They they already they have a known open relationship. It's not a
Oh, okay,
secret.
okay,
It's not a
okay,
secret.
okay, okay. I see what you're saying.
You know what
I
I'm
see what you're
saying?
saying.
They
Yeah.
don't want the world to know the real truth, which is, they both be going all over the ways.
Okay. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I try not to pay attention to this whole entanglement thing because I'm just not that
Well, yeah,
available. But yeah, I see what you're saying though. That's
it's
what they
deeper
really.
than the entanglement. The entanglement is the proper word to use to describe this whole little blimp of news that
Right,
they ever so gently wanted to clear away because they don't want the focus to come about on the real issues. Okay,
right.
so this
Okay, I
is
see what
this is
you're saying.
the art of using the media to your advantage. Once you're able to access it, you can spin your own narratives because most
Right.
of the sheeple are going to listen to it because it's on the damn TV.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, besides that, you know, that's these dark entities. I mean, we're probably going to have to do this in a two-part series because
Yeah,
there's.
for sure. It's already past the limit, so I was just wondering what you would want to do as far as,
But
you know.
we close out is I want to ask you, what did you start experiencing in your life? Where was the kicker at?
Oh, okay, the kicker. The kicker was what I want to say is the kicker was when I came to the States and I established, friendships here and I got to know people here and um not long ago, I mean, I've made friends along the way, in high school and I've kind of kept in touch with these certain friends because we grew up, basically together and we lived in the same town or city, whatever you want to call it. And we got to know each other on a personal level over the years. And he's kind of one of my good friends actually. He's from the same part of the world that I'm from, but he was born here. Um, and I got to know him and his family, and basically I would visit him, not on a, I would say when we were first hanging out and we first became friends, we used to hang out a lot and we used to spend time with each other a lot. And uh, he would have fraudulent slips left and right, about him and his.
Explain fraudulent
Oh,
slips
okay.
for the people who
Right.
don't.
A fraudulent slip it basically is your soul calling out or speaking the truth without you knowing. Uh, I think that's how it's supposed to be. Or a fraudulent slip is something you say without consciously, like your conscious is saying it, but you're unaware that you're saying it. That's what a fraudulent slip is. Is your body is automatically, or your soul is on autopilot, and you can't control it at this point. And whatever comes out is what your soul is trying to reach to the outside world. So he would have these fraudulent slips. Now, I do want to give you a little background about his family history. He comes from a rich background. His mom passed away when he was young, and his father was became disabled shortly after his mother passed, coincidentally. But as I got to know him, he was very friendly at first, but then I just started noticing him being more aggressive, and not just towards me but everybody else. And he would have a lot of family problems, and he would try to discuss them with me. But during those times when he was having, going through those hardships in his family, he would just mention out of nowhere, like, guys, my house is possessed, and yada yada, so and so put a spell on my house, and you guys need to be careful with what you do here. And we would look at him like, are you okay, man? Like, we would be enjoying, we would get together and, and having a good time. And just out of nowhere, he just blurs out these sentences. And it actually
Wow.
went on for years, man. Like, the same message was conveyed over the years, but my like all of us that were in this group, we would just push it off as like, okay, this guy, he's going through some trauma with his family, and we would ultimately just point it back to like, oh, his mom is not there and his dad's disabled, so we'd give him that benefit of the doubt, like, or negate the fact that you know, he's normal, eh, because of what had happened in his family's past.
You guys thought he was speaking conspiracy
Yeah,
theories.
basically. So we were like, okay, he's having some trouble, but as the years went on, and I like my we got into our late 20s, like, I just started seeing him become more aggressive and more like aggressive towards, specifically towards people who are nice to him, like genuinely nice. And like I said, he would be saying the same message. Literally, he would say, "Guys, my house is possessed, and there's some dark entity here. Please be careful." Like, he would say this constantly, and this went on for almost more than a decade, actually, because that's how we've been long friends for a long time. Uh, so just last year or the year before, we were hanging out, and I hadn't seen him in a while, so because I had moved away from the area, from the city, and but I would still go visit him because he's a good friend of mine and I care about him. But during these times I went to go see him. He would act very, very awkward around me, and when we would have like talks, like serious talks about spirituality, religion, something important that needs to be stated between people, like, to have a healthy conversation is what I'm saying. When we would try to have healthy conversations, he would ultimately shut everybody down, and we'd be like, what's your deal, dude? Why are you acting this way? You were never like this." Um, and what the kicker was, this is where the kicker comes in. Like, I'm hanging out with them, for a few hours, and I was like, okay, I gotta go. So I'm leaving his place, and I get in my car and I start driving, right? I'm driving. All of a sudden I hear a ring, and it's my phone, and I'm getting a call from this friend. I'm like, okay, what's going on? So I answer the phone, and he's like, "Hey, where are you?" And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean? I just left your place. I'm going home." He's like, "Oh, okay. All right. You're driving, right?" He would just, like, very awkward question. Like, not normal people don't ask you where are you after you've just left their place, right?
Right, right.
And then I'm like, okay, this sounds really weird. Why are you asking me if I'm driving or whatever? He's like, no, no, just don't worry about it. I'll see you next time. Blah blah blah. Okay, so he hangs up. I hang up. I put my phone down. Next thing you know, I'm driving. I All of a sudden I hear whoop whoop. I'm like, oh no, what's going on? I get pulled over. Now the officer pulls me over, but he doesn't really have a legitimate reason for pulling me over. And I'm like, officer, I asked the officer, I was like, officer, what am I being pulled over for? He's like, oh, well, I'm glad you asked. You're blah, blah. He just made some like stupid excuse, which I knew for a fact that I wasn't doing anything wrong. Um,
Right.
but to my knowledge, I was like, okay, this guy just wants to give me a ticket and he wants to meet his quota, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, okay, fine. At that moment, the moment he pulled me over, I'm like, okay, God, if I did something wrong, I did something wrong. But if I didn't do anything wrong, please help. Like, I reached out. I was like, okay, please help me. I don't want to get a ticket. I don't want to pay like a fine of $200-300 just for this. So as soon as I get done doing that, the officer comes, talks to me, but takes my information, comes back, and just lets me go with a warning, right? He's like, everything
Wow.
is said and done. You're good to go. I'm just going to give you a warning. Okay, thank you, officer. Have a nice evening. I drive off. Okay, that's one instant. Okay, I didn't, and at the time I was like, okay, man, I gotta be careful. I gotta start. I was telling myself a bunch of things at the time. I was like, man, I was driving too fast or something. I was giving myself excuses basically. So next time we hang out, fast forward a couple days or a week after that incident happened, or not a week, sorry, 2 days after that, I go hang out with this friend again. Okay. Um, After I get done hanging out, I leave the place. I'm driving, and I get a call from him again. And this is not during the first incident happening during the nighttime. The second incident happened during the daytime. So I'm driving during the daytime, driving. I'm very cautious. Mind you that I've had this cop pull me over the days before, so I'm like extra cautious now on the road. And my friend calls me. This friend calls me and he says, "Hey, where are you?" And I tell him where I am, and he's like, "Oh, okay. Are you coming over?" Or sorry, he's like, you're gonna hang out with me next time too, right? And I'm like, "Yeah, for sure. Blah blah blah." He's like, "All right, okay, I'll see you next time." So he hangs up. As soon as I get done hanging up, guess what happens again, brother Brando?
You got pulled
Yes,
over.
sir. I get pulled over again, and this time I'm like, okay, there's something that I'm doing wrong here. Like I'm telling myself literally, hey, I'm doing something wrong here. Like, what is it that you're doing wrong? Figure it out. So I get pulled over. The lady cop, it's a lady cop. She just tells me that I can't be talking on the phone while I'm driving. What? My lady, I'm looking on the road. I'm super cautious. I just got pulled over the other day about something that didn't even matter in the first place, and I'm being extra cautious. So, right when, like I said, when I know that I'm not, or I just have like this relationship with God. When I know if I'm about to be in trouble, I automatically like give him a phone call, like a mental phone call. I was like, hey, I need your help. I just got pulled over again. So, if you can help me out here, I'd really appreciate it. So, this lady cop, she comes back with my license and registration, and she's like, "Okay, you're getting a warning. Have a nice day."
Wow.
I'm like, "Thank the Lord."
So did the cops see you? Did you see the cops see you?
No, I had no idea. They just
Wow.
came out of nowhere, brother Brando. Like
Were you on the phone though?
oh no, I was on the phone, but the phone was not in any like in my sight. Like I had it on speakerphone, so I was just driving while talking. You
Okay.
know,
Okay.
driving.
So it wasn't in your hand. So there was no way that they would
I
even
was
know.
just I was just driving and I was talking, but I was looking on the road while I was talking. She just
Right.
lets me go with a warning. And then I'm like, okay, so
So it's got to get deeper. So come on, get to the good
okay.
stuff.
I'm trying, brother. I'm trying as fast as I can. So fast forward, I that night I'm like so frustrated. I'm like, okay, man, what is it that you're doing wrong? What is it that you're not looking at? And I'm like, okay, so both these times I get pulled over, I get a call from this friend, right? And I'm suspicious. I'm like, why is he calling me? And then I'm getting pulled over. And then I was like, at it was during the evening time, and all of a sudden, my mind, something in my conscious was like, do you remember what he's been telling you for the past 10 years? Do you remember? And I'm like, what is it? What? So he was telling me that his house is possessed, yada yada yada. All these years he's been telling us from the get-go that, he's got some bad energy around him, so you gotta be on your P's and Q's. And it hit me that night. I was like, oh my God, this guy has something going on. And I
Hmm.
immediately was like, I had like a awakening. I was like, whoa. And it just opened another can of like other stuff that I had no idea about. And I put it all together. But that is for another time. But what I want to tell to all the listeners on here and on your show, man, is that they're they're trying their best to get rid of us. Okay, us us by us, I mean the miracle children on earth in on earth is basically Satan's domain. His history can tell you that this has been Satan's domain. Please do not ask a scientist about this because they will not be able to tell you based on history. They will just tell you based on science. Uh,
Right, right. And science does not always tell the
yeah,
truth. Because look at Dr. Fauci. He don't know what the hell to talk
he's,
about. He don't know if we talk about coronavirus or SARS.
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, if you please, if you're listening to this, I want you guys to do your research when it comes to the higher power, God, Buddha, whatever you want to call him, and do your research. Jehovah,
Jehovah, Yahweh.
Yahweh, do your research on him. Please listen to what he says in the original text, not the updated version, not the translate, whatever you want to call it, the New Testament. Please go back to the original, authentic scriptures and read the stories, and they will explain to you with what's happening, with what was happening, and what will happen, and what is happening now. Like that's how deep this stuff is. These original scriptures that yeah,
Predictions to
yes,
come.
exactly. And God laid it, higher power, he laid it out for us. We just gotta follow those things. And I'm saying this. I personally, I'm Muslim, but I've got friends who are Jew, not Jewish. I've got Jew friends. I've got Christian friends. I've got Buddhist friends. I've got people from all walks of life, and we connect on one level, and we understand each other. We don't like dislike one another based on our religious backgrounds or faith or whatever you want to call it. But if you are interested in what you just heard, please relate back to the original scriptures because that lays out the blueprint for what this evil is doing in this world or what has been doing for the longest time. Um, but yeah, that's what I wanted to say before I take up too much of your time, brother Brando. And I really want to thank you for having me on here.
No, I definitely want to thank you for making this possible and lending out your energy. And yeah, I definitely want to have a follow up in part two and actually go a little bit
For
deeper.
for sure.
Because not everybody is ready to go that
Yeah,
deep. We gotta work their
I
way. We gotta ease them
I, I,
into it.
I agree with you 1000% because if I explain too much right away, it's humanly possible to take all so much information all at once. It's got to be done in increments, like you said. So it.
Yes, it's got to be done in doses of like Robocop. Which right now we're trying to heal you. We want to bring you back to
Yeah,
life. So you need to get a dose of
that's
Robitussin,
right.
and then you got to come back in another 12 hours, and we give you another
Yes,
dose.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. So if brother Brando, I'm very happy that you and I connected. Fortunately, I don't call it coincidence, call it God's work. But I'm glad people need to hear this stuff. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. And I definitely. This is why the channel was named Bigger Than Race. Because we're bringing all walks, people from all walks of life, with different
Right on.
perspectives. You know, and we're not only talking about in ways to enrich our life financially, but we also talk about the truth. And, if you're here to just get the latest crypto and not get any value from other sources, then I don't know what to tell you. But on this channel, we talk about everything. So I want to thank you, brother Abdul, for coming on the show. Look forward to seeing you and hearing from you again.
Likewise.
And Bigger Than Race community, remember, investigate truth on your own terms.